Hello everyone and welcome back to Tea Time Crochet. Today we're going to be making this color block infinity scarf. So it's done in a variety of different colors, and the blocks themselves are different sizes. So it should be really good to use for scraps. If you have a lot of scraps, this will be really good for that, and that's what I did. I just used scraps for it. And I think it's really cute. Mine totaled 75 inches. Your basic infinity scarf is around 60, but I wanted to finish out the color pattern, so I just went ahead and did that, and it was 75 inches. But this is what it looks like when it's finished. And then I just did a row of single crochet all the way around both sides. And then I hid all my tails as I was doing it, but I think it's really cute. So if you want to learn how to do the color blocking, stay tuned. Okay, for this infinity scarf, we're going to be, since we're going to be doing color blocking, I've just picked out some random yarns out of my stash, and this scarf will be a really great stash buster. So if you have a bunch of little scraps, this will work really great for that. So I've just kind of chosen like a rainbow color. So I went with a yellow, orange, red, pink, purple, blue, and green. And like I said, this is just stuff that's out of my stash, stuff that I've used most of the skein and still have stuff left over. So these are the colors that I'm going to go with. This scarf is going to be super simple. It's basically just going to be some, chain stitches and double crochets, and then we're going to be doing, our design is going to be the color blocking that we're doing. So, I'm going to start off with the yellow, and our scarf is going to be 6 inches wide by 60 inches long, and then we're going to seam the ends together to make it the infinity scarf. So, I'm just going to get rid of those. And all of these are Red Heart Super Saver. Some of them I do not have the labels to, but I do know for a fact that they are all Red Heart Super Saver, and this one is bright yellow. So the things that you're going to need are, you're going to need, I'm going to be using a 6mm crochet hook. You're going to need a tape measure, a pair of scissors, a yarn needle, and you may need a scrap piece of paper and a pencil, just to, keep track of where you're at. If you ever want to make it again, that's a good idea. Especially if you're not using the same colors and the same random blocking that I'm using. You could take any colors that you want and do any random blocking that you would like. You don't have to strictly go with what I'm doing, because I'm just kind of, randomly do whatever I feel. And some of my skeins are smaller, so I know that on those skeins I'm going to have smaller blocks. So, to start off with, we're going to start with a slip knot. And also, by using a little bit of a larger hook, the project will go a little bit faster. So, I'm just going to chain until I get 6 inches. And then I'll count and let you know exactly how many stitches that is. So to chain, you're just going to yarn over and pull through the loop. So just like that. And that is about 6 inches. So I'm going to count them. So that's 20 stitches. So I want to keep this length, so I'm going to chain 2 more. 1, 2, and then I'm going to start with a double crochet into that 20th stitch. Okay. So we're just going to put 1 double crochet in every stitch across. And we can put our measuring tape away, we don't need it for now. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I will meet up with you when I get to my last stitch. Okay, so I did all of my stitches. Keep in mind when we added that extra chain 2, that gave us 21 stitches because we wanted to keep our length. So now we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then we're going to put 1 double crochet in every stitch across. And that is basically what you're going to do for the length of the scarf. Now don't forget your chain 2 here, you need to put a double crochet into that. So that is basically what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and do however many rows I'm going to do for this color, and then I will show you how to change colors, and then you can just use that for every color that when you're going to do a color change. So go ahead and in the next clip I will tell you how many rows of the yellow that I did, and then I will show you how to do the color change, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so I have done 10 rows of the yellow, and I am on my last stitch right here. It's the chain 2. So when I go into that, I'm going to only do half of my double crochet, and then I'm going to drop the yellow yarn, and I'm going to grab the orange yarn and pull it through the last of that double crochet. And that is a very seamless way to change color. And I'm just going to cut my yellow yarn. And then I will just chain 2, and I will just continue on double crocheting all the way across, putting 1 double crochet all the way across, and making sure that I get it in this last, sure that I get it in our last stitch here. And you're just going to continue that until your scarf is 60 inches long. So if you stay tuned in the next segment, I'm going to go through and tell you how many rows of each color I did, and if I had to do any repeats. So I would suggest you watch the entire video before you start the project, and then you'll know how many rows of each color that you need if you're going to do exactly as I'm going to do it. If you're going to do it different, then you know, that's perfectly fine. You can completely just choose your own colors and do your own number of blocks, or number of stitches for your color blocks, and that will work out perfectly fine. But for me, my yellow is 10 rows, and if you stay tuned in the next clip, I will tell you how many of each color, how many rows of each color that I did. So I am taking notes. So go ahead and just stay tuned in the next clip, and then you can start your project. Okay, so I finished mine. And mine, actually, because I wanted to finish out the color blocking, came to 75 inches. And I was able to get 2 repeats of each color. So to start off with, the yellow has a total of 10 rows. The orange is a total of 5 rows. The red is a total of 12 rows. The pink is 4 rows. The purple is 8 rows. The blue is 12 rows. And then the last color, which is green, is 5 rows. And then I just repeated that another time, so I have a total of 2 repeats. And I use the same exact number of rows for each color. And I just want to address this real quickly before anybody leaves me a comment saying that I missed a stitch or something, because this red, even though it's a worsted weight, and so is this pink, it's a worsted weight too. I can even tell you which ones these are. This is Red Heart Super Saver Red, and this is Red Heart Super Saver Soft Pink, I think is what it's called. Even though that they are both worsted weight yarns, I'm going to pull them out here so you can see. The red and the pink are not exactly the same size. The red itself is bigger than the pink. So that is why it looks like this section is bigger than this section. It's just simply because this pink and the blue and everything and some of the other colors are just a little bit smaller in size. Even though they're a worsted weight, they're not the same thickness as some of the others are. So, and you know, sometimes you can't even tell with it just sitting there, but you can tell when you're working on things and using different skeins of yarn. The yellow was the same way. The yellow is a little bit thicker than some of the others. So that is the reason why some of it looks a little skinnier. Once we get the border on, you're not even going to notice. So I just wanted to address that real quickly before someone leaves a comment saying that I dropped a stitch or something. Because I didn't. I actually went back and counted, and everything is at 21 stitches. So I have 2 total repeats of the colors, and your standard infinity scarf is 60 inches. You don't have to do what I did and just finish out the color blocking, but I thought since I was doing a certain pattern that I would go ahead and do that. That way it's a continuous pattern once we get it seamed up. So what we're going to do now is you're going to look at your scarf and you're going to find the nicer side of your scarf. Sometimes it's hard to tell, but crochet does have a front and a back. And one of it you can just see, because one side will look a little bit nicer than the other side, and the stitches usually on the back side will poke out a little bit more. So this is my nice side. So I'm going to take my two nice sides. Okay, so you'll want to get one of the yarns that match one of these ends. I'm just going to go ahead and use the yellow. So we're just going to be slip stitching across here to close it. So we're going to start off in this first stitch here, and then you need to keep in mind that this is our starter chain, so there's only going to be one loop here. So as long as you're going through the loop that's straight across from the one you have, you'll be fine. And we're just going to pull that yarn through, and I'm just going to tie a little knot. And then we will work over these tails as we're doing the single crochet row along the edge, so don't worry about that. Go back into that same stitch and pull up a loop and chain one, and then pull that tight. And then we're going to go into the next stitch, and we're going to pull up a loop, and we're going to go through the loop that's on our hook for a slip stitch. And we're going to do that exact same thing all the way across. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a few with you and show you. And what this does is it will seam up the two ends together, but it won't leave a really bulky edge right here. So it kind of works it on the side. So it's a nice way to seam things without leaving too much of that ridge that sometimes a single crochet will leave. You'll just work your way all the way across. Wanting to pull it tight every time you pull a new loop through. So when you do your slip stitch, make sure you pull that tight. Sorry if you can hear that. We've had some freezing rain on top of some very fluffy white snow, and it's a little warmer today, so it's actually falling off the house that's next door and making that humongous racket. So that's our last slip stitch. So we're just going to yarn over and pull through, and then we can cut this yarn and then pull it all the way through. So just like that. You want to make sure you don't get it too tight because you don't want it to pucker, but that is what you should have. And now we're going to turn our infinity scarf right side out. So see, it has a nice little join there, but it's not a big ridge here, and that's why I chose that stitch. So make sure you get it turned right side out. And now we're going to start on the single crochet row. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through this green stitch right here, and it's right at our join. I like to start all of my beginning rows at a join or a seam. That's just my preference. So I'm just going to start by attaching this purple yarn here. And then I'm going to go back into that same stitch and bring up a loop and chain one. And then I'm going to go back into that same stitch and do a single crochet. And then I'm going to go back into I'm going to go into this next stitch right here. And I'm going to do a single crochet there, and then we have our double crochets here, so I'm going to put one single crochet into the body of this double crochet, and then one into this hole right here. It's kind of like the base of the stitch where the one above it is attached. And as I'm doing this, I'm going to work over my tails. And I find that doing it that way, it makes the best spacing so your edge doesn't start to make your project ruffle, because if you get too many stitches here, it'll start to ruffle at the edge, and we really don't want that. So that's why I'm doing it that way. So I'm going to work my way all the way around my scarf here until I get back to where I started. You're going to just do the same thing that you're doing here, just putting one single crochet in each one of those spaces until you get back to where you started. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera, and I'm also going to do the other side. So once you finish this side, just go ahead and do the other side the same exact way, and then I will meet up with you when I am on my last stitch. Okay, so I made it all the way back to where I started, and I'm just going to slip stitch to join in this beginning single crochet, and then I'm going to fasten off. And then you'll just want to pull that through, pull it tight, and then you'll hide it along the back. So I managed to hide all my tails on this side as I went over them. What I did was, for like the previous color, because I tied them together in the beginning, like right here. So what I did was I held the color that matched this color that way, and then I held this one this way, and then I crocheted over top of them as I was going. So I'm just going to do this other side, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's finished. So this is the finished product. I think it's really cute, and it should be really warm to wear. And you're able to wrap it around twice, and it's, you know, not too tight, so it should be really comfortable. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.